Hello, everybody, and welcome to this think tank session from the high school even senior group. And leading this, we have David and Whitney Scott, and of course we have Christy, we have Jessica, Melanie, Gary, and Brian. So we've got photographers from all over the US. We've got a photographer, say the USA, from Scotland, you know, you've got Scotland, England, Ireland, Wales, so we all like to be a little bit different. So I'm going to hand straight over to David and Whitney now, and we'll get started. Thanks, guys.
Great. Well, welcome to this Zoomcast on high school seniors. We've put together a really neat panel of experts who are knee-deep in the high school senior market, as well as Brian from Scotland, who is not knee-deep in a traditional high school senior market, but will bring a fascinating perspective into what goes on in Europe, or specifically Scotland. And I guarantee you there are nuggets that he is going to share for us in the States that we can at least tweak and begin to implement into what we do to make our studios more successful. So whether you're involved in high school seniors or not, especially if you're not, I want to encourage you to stick around for this, because there are things that will be shared in this group that you can modify to fit your portrait, your family, whatever genre you really are interested in and excel in. You can take some of these ideas and begin to implement them into your studio to make what you do more successful, both in the immediate and long term. So what I'd like to do is go around very quickly to each of the panelists, just introduce yourself, where you're from, and what you typically do in photography. So let's start with Brian.
Thank you. Thanks, David and Whitney. Hi, folks. My name is Brian Muir. I am based in southwest Scotland, in a county called Ayrshire. I have been a full-time photographer for the last 14 years. I run my business called Air Image Photography, and I mainly shoot, I guess for the purposes of this particular Zoomcast, proms, events. I also do a bit of fashion work and weddings. So great to meet everybody here on the panel as well, and looking forward to share.
Great. Thanks, Brian. Christy.
I'm Christy Bradley. I'm located in Ashland, Virginia. Yay, just two. We have a couple Virginia people here. And I specialize in high school seniors. They're about 90% of my business, and then I filter in with some of their families and headshots here and there.
Awesome. Thanks, Christy. Jessica.
Hi, I'm Jessica Robertson, and I too am in Ashland, Virginia. We photograph about 200 seniors a year, in addition to some families and headshots as well. I became a professional photographer in 2000. So next month will be my 20-year anniversary. I've had a retail space for 15 years, and I also run Shoot It Straight with Jessica Robertson, which is a Facebook group.
Awesome. Great. Thanks, Jessica. Gary, have you done?
Well, I'm probably the old guy in this, as far as been around the longest time. I've been in it for, I've had a storefront studio for over 30 years. Do a lot of high school seniors. They're about 60% of my business now. I built up a high volume business. I peaked at 567 seniors, 42 weddings, and 500 other jobs. So I've done the high volume, and then I did medium volume. And now I'm only doing about 100 seniors a year, pretty high end. And so now I do lower volume. So I've kind of been through all three business models myself. And I am in Sapulpa, Oklahoma, a small town just a little outside of Tulsa, and here in the Midwest, woohoo. So, and I also have a great Facebook group, if you're not in it, called Inside the Box Photo Group.
Great. Great. Thanks, Gary. And Melanie.
Hey,
Mel.
thank you guys for hosting. This is such an honor to be here. So I have a retail studio space here in Maryland. So Jessica and Christy, we need to get together. You guys are that close to me. So that would be amazing. I've been in business 14 years. I've had my retail space for about 12 years. I have my certification, my craftsman, my master's degree. We photograph high school seniors. We do volume, commercial work, and obviously a little bit of everything else. But seniors and volume is really what we're known for in our area.
Great. Thanks, Melanie. Do you want to introduce who we are?
Oh,
please?
Sure. We are David and Whitney Scott. We're based out of Bentonville, Arkansas, which is in Northwest Arkansas, home of Walmart. And we photograph mainly portrait and commercial, about half and half. Some seniors, families, no more babies, no more weddings.
Nope. Done.
Yeah, that's it. We are a boutique studio and we photograph. Our goal is 2 clients a week.
So, yeah, that's who we are. And so that's the panel. And so again, thank you for joining this group. What I'd like to, oh, you were going to set this part up. I'm sorry.
Sure. Can you tell we're married? So what we're going to do today is we'll jump around a little bit. You guys can have some dedicated time. And then if we want to have some conversation that's more open-ended, we can. But we want to talk about 2 things primarily. And that is what you're doing right now with your seniors, just the communication that you're having with them during a time when you can't photograph, and what your plan is going forward so that you can basically hit the ground running when all of this is beginning to subside. So do we just want to jump right in? Sure.
Let's get going.
Okay. So who wants to go first? Raise your hand.
Raise your hand.
Or worse.
I'll go first. I'll take one for the team. I'll volunteer tribute. So, I'm going to speak to a couple of things. And as the panelists already know, I've kind of shared my heart. And I know there's so much anxiety and we're dealing with some uncharted territory here. And one of the things I really just want to start out with is just making sure everybody is taking the time to breathe and rest your soul. And if we can just start this with just 2-3 deep breaths and then let's dive in, because I think we're going to just fly through a bunch of this stuff. And I want to make sure that we're doing some self-care for each of us. So if you'll join me in that, I just think that it's going to be so purposeful to us because I don't think we're doing enough of that. So let's just kind of just, yeah.
Come on, Gary. You can do it.
I'm breathing.
Do one more. You know, there's something about, you know, the anxiety in our world today, and not only as business leaders and, you know, photographers, also as parents, for those of you that are parents. And so I'm unique in this situation that I actually have a high school senior. And this is a challenging time. We have 4 children, and our senior is the baby. And he's a boy and he's 18. Mm-hmm. And the emotions that are going through. And so I want to take a moment to speak to that, because your audience, not only are the seniors, but the parents of these kids. And so to be able to really just speak to that heart, the frustrations, the anger, the disappointment, how do we parent a kid that is already kind of checked out, right? Like, how are we to be able to be purposeful and to continue communication when I have an 18-year-old in the house that thinks, well, there's no school, and well, what are we doing? Yeah, there's online school. Let me tell you how many photos I have of him sleeping on the couch right now, like just napping all day long, you know, like, let's be real. So I want to address like real life, okay? Because this is your audience. These are the people that you need to connect with. And so one of the things that has been very, very purposeful to me, and if this isn't already in your community, then a way that you can actually create this. And part of our purpose statement is being a blessing to our community. So I am part of a private Facebook group that is for parents of class of 2020. So this group is us parents who are a hot mess ourselves, just trying to figure all this out and navigate. And how do we parent the kids that are like, this is my senior year and I'm an athlete, you know, or I can't see my friends. What's going on with prom? What's going on with graduation? Like, so many unanswered questions. And how do we address that? So as you're, you know, marketing to these parents, speak to the emotion of that and really be able to find ways to connect with that. And so this group that I'm in has been such a support. And that's where I say, you as photographers, we are relationship businesses. And this is how you can stand apart from everybody else. So do some searches on Facebook. Find out if there are any class of 2020 communities in your school districts. And if there aren't, create them, okay? Just because it's not done. I'm telling you, create the market and be there to support and guide and create the space, right? You don't have to be the expert. It's about creating the space. And so that these parents can, you know, our kids don't want to hear our frustrations, right? They don't want to hear it. But first we have to have this open group and this open dialogue in sharing funny things. Like one of the things I shared was Jimmy Fallon did this whole thing on Take Your Mom to Prom, you know, for these seniors. And it was a hilarious spoof. It was hilarious. Like, we need to laugh. We've got to have fun with this. Creating T-shirts for the seniors that are now being displayed. The parents, we started displaying, if it was an athlete, their uniform on your front door, you know, and taking a picture to honor them. And so there's so many ways that you can be of service, and it's not always about money. Remember, you're developing relationships, and if you're in the community, that's where this all begins. So find ways, see if that could be of service to you. And then, so that's what I'm currently doing right now, is engaging with these families and honoring the emotions. I'm not there to sell them anything, okay? And then when I talk about looking forward, what's happening next, what you can be doing is marketing your 2021 seniors, right? You know, this is the time that you build your senior model program. So if you don't already have one, just message me. I'm happy to give you all that for free, webinar and graphics. But develop so do a private Facebook group. This is what I've done with my seniors for the last 12 years. So I still have that private Facebook group with those kids that are now getting married, right? So I still have those groups, and that's with that class of 2021 with the parents, because those are underage kids. You want to make sure you're having dialogue that is, you know, obviously appropriate and parent supervised as needed. But creating the 2021, set up your senior model program, start charging. We charge $250, and you can start collecting money now by marketing for your 2021. Create the dialogue, upload. I'm happy to give you, we have senior style guides. So you have conversations about that. Have them upload photos that you can then create graphics and designs and things, so that you could be showcasing those on Instagram and Facebook and getting that word out and doing the referral programs. There's a whole bunch of stuff. So when you talk about what are we doing now, we're empathizing with these parents and these seniors of this year. And there's like so many things that we could do, but they're not going to necessarily be money making. I'm sorry, graduation cards, it's not a money maker. I'm sorry. Nope. Cap and gown, it's not a money maker. I love y'all, those people that are trying to do that, but you know what? It's like, it's not gonna, maybe it'll, you know, pay some of your bills, but it's right. Where are you putting your efforts? Just love on those people and just empathize and serve your community and build your 2021 group, collect senior model payments now, and explain, you know, we're all in this uncharted territory together. These sessions will get scheduled when we get the all clear, but you can start bringing them in now, getting them to like, know, and trust you, creating the marketing content from selfie, do tutorials on selfies, do tutorials on how, you know, with the clothing and things like that, and have them send you images. So last name, Latanya Anderson. So hopefully that is purposeful. As you know, I could go on forever.
So thank you for offering your stuff. Is there a place they go? They just email you? Do you want to just put
what I'll do, maybe I'll just put the information in the chat, and then they can just click on it. Yeah.
Okay.
Perfect.
Great.
Great. Thank you, Melanie.
Like seriously, whatever you guys need, this is the time for us to be of service. And, you know, whatever you need.
No, that's perfect. And by providing that, no one right now is interested in reinventing the wheel. We would rather take something that has worked for an established, well-known photographer, modify it to what best suits us, what our needs are and our clients. But let's don't put our energy where it's not needed. I really, Melanie, appreciate what you said about establishing groups, a place for either people to connect, because you've got high school seniors who are looking at their parents going, what do I do?
Yeah.
And the parents are looking at each other going, what do we do? And if we can come in with, at the very least, an opportunity for them to honor their frustrations, their experience, but at the most, begin to provide some answers, because no one has an idea for what should be done next as a high school senior, because there's nothing to fall back on for experience. We can provide at least an outlet saying, all right, this is not the way your year was envisioned. This is not what you dreamed. However, what if we did something special? Whatever that looks like for your studio, you're providing an answer. And it's at least something for those seniors and their parents to fall back on and say, yes, this looks like a great way to honor what has been happening to us. So excellent.
One of the suggestions was a parent, of course, one of the suggestions was a parent had listed, let's hang banners in our town of the seniors. Well, because I'm a volume photographer, I had already created them all and they're already done. And I was like, well, because they normally hang in the school. And I was like, well, if y'all had said something about that a week ago, because they're sitting in my garage, that could have been done. Now we've got, the stay-at-home order, so we can't do it. But I said, the minute that's lifted, whoever wants to go hang them, they're all yours. Yeah. So that would be a way to honor in these towns that they can be hanging from light posts or hanging on the buildings, their senior banners, these athlete banners and things like that. So there's a lot of opportunities to honor, and maybe you can find ways to, generate income that way as well. But it's great marketing.
No doubt.
Melanie, sneak out late at night when everyone's locked in their homes and hang them up then.
We are not authorizing that right here, just so y'all know. That did not come from us. Gary Box, what's your email address, Gary? Since you're already talking, Gary, why don't you go next?
Okay. Well, there's a couple of important aspects that we need to be looking at right now. One is, what can we be doing at this moment? And the second is, what can we be doing for our upcoming future? Short-term and long-term both. So as far as right now, some of the things that I'm doing is I made a talk about the gift of time, which someone in one of the other think tank webinars had mentioned. So we have the gift of time right now, which is something I typically don't have enough of. And so I am using this gift of time. I am still conducting business remotely. I am doing remote sales sessions via Zoom and ProSelect. I am still doing grad card orders via FaceTime and things like that. So I'm still doing business. I had a $3,000 day yesterday and I've been closed for a week. So I'm still working on those things. But in addition to that, I am working on new sets and backgrounds, and I can send those out on social media as upcoming plugs and still generate some excitement for the upcoming year. I am working on my marketing for 2021. Believe it or not, and a lot of people go, huh? One of my greatest draws in marketing is direct mail. And so I am working on laying all of that stuff out right now. So those are all things that I am doing as of right now. I'm also planning, as soon as we can open back up, I'm going to be doing a prom dress and cap and gown special. No, they're not good, not big money, but I'm opening this not only to my seniors, but to anybody else. So it can create some goodwill. A lot of these girls are really upset that, they've spent $500 on this dress and nobody's going to get to see it. Well, by God, I want to help you make everyone see it. So, so that's coming up as soon as we're allowed to reopen. Hopefully the second half of April, we'll be able to reopen, fingers are crossed on that one, and we can get this done. So as far as working for the future, I tend to always try to think ahead, financially, business-wise, everything like that. I saw that our shutdown was coming, so I tried to move sessions up and get them done before we had been shut down, because I can do the sales remotely at this time. So I'm always trying to think ahead and try to stay one step ahead of those things. I also tend to believe in effective budgeting and living within your means and things like that. Those that are not living on the edge are going to be able to weather this a little bit better. So, having a rainy day fund set aside and everything like that is really important. So when you get out of that, out of this, start working on those things for the next crisis that's going to hit us. God knows what it might be. So anyway, those are just a few of the things that I'm looking at right now and that I'm working on.
That's awesome, Gary. I appreciate you sharing that part, especially what you said you're going to be working on, whether it's, perhaps new lighting or sets. You've done some really off the wall stuff with paints and all kinds of cool outside the box, no pun intended there, but that kind of work. But when you're in this downtime, when you're promoting it and saying, man, I had this eureka moment of using lights or gels or something this way. I can't wait to begin. That optimism, that enthusiasm is infectious. And it gets, whether it's seniors who are just about to graduate or the 2021 that Melanie was talking about, it gets them excited about anticipating working with you. And they're seeing activity, they're seeing motion, they're seeing, positive.
Well, and so much of what we need is just something to look forward to right now, because especially the seniors, all the things they were looking forward to are just kind of disappearing before their eyes. And so you've got, Melanie's son laying on the couch. Well, if he can at least see something that gets him excited about something that's going to happen in the future, well, that's a win.
Yeah.
You can spend part of this time perfecting your own skills too. If lighting is a weakness of yours, watch some of the videos by so many talented people. Grab one of the kids that's locked up in your house with you and start practicing on them.
They love that.
Mannequin head. Order a mannequin head from Amazon if you don't have kids in your house or someone that you can practice on, and start working on some new lighting techniques and things like that as well. So you can still have a lot of personal growth within this time period as well.
If any of you know if any of you know Anna Brandt, she had her 17-year-old daughter do, she's like, y'all forgive me now, but I want to practice some maternity photos and a new gown. So she had her 17-year-old. So all on the table, do what you need to do. I loved that. I was like, you go, girl. So yeah, what you just said, Gary, just what kid have you got home? If you have any, and just start practicing lighting and just do. And it created conversation,
Exactly.
It was just too good.
Okay. I was just going to say that I think this situation, I've talked with a few other photographers and peers who have kind of come to the realization too that it's forced them to reevaluate their workflow and some of their processes. And it actually, if there's a silver lining in some of this, is that is going to be streamlined, and they're learning some new tools, and they're having time to be able to implement something if they're not already working with a studio management program or something like that. This has forced them to do that if they've had to lay off an employee who usually does that for them, and they have to replace that employee via technology. It's created the opportunity to kind of streamline those systems. So it is a silver lining in some way, if something comes out of this.
Christy, that's a great point. I have a full-time graphic artist that does most of my retouching in-house. And right now I've taken all that over. She's furloughed and drawing unemployment right now. And I have taken over the retouching on the incoming orders. And every time I have done this, I'm like, this just takes too long. I've got to find a faster way.
Yeah.
And so I create new actions and modify our workflow to get faster and more efficient. And then I'll just retrain her when she comes back.
Yeah.
I think recognizing that because we're in different parts of the country and different parts of the world, part of what we're allowed to do and not allowed to do and all of that is different. It's different in different areas. And for us, a lot of our actions have come from our connection to our clients still, and communicating with them and asking them where they are. So it has been somewhat of a reaction of understanding where our community is and how we can help. And so when school was canceled a couple of weeks ago, so we're canceled through the end of the year. I know some people are still not canceled yet, but we are. And I had a student come in, and literally her and her mom came in unannounced, and she just stood there and cried. And just the sadness, this deep, genuine sadness. And really, it's like a death for these kids, and to be honest, it should be respected as such, because these are life experiences that, to some extent, they're not going to get back. And then on the other side of it, I had another senior came in and picked up her graduation announcements, and her mom was like, no, that we're not going to sit here and cry. We are going to make it happen. It's unacceptable that we are going to think that our kids aren't going to graduate. No, friend, this is happening. She's like, it might happen in July. It might happen in August. She's like, but it is happening for my kids. And I was like, cool. And so this extreme of reaction to virtually, I mean, they're in the same high school, right? So the one is crying because that's all she could do at that point. The other is going, we're having prom, we're having graduation. I've already called the principal. This is happening, right? And so, and then there's everything in between, right? So extreme emotions, extreme action, honestly, planning, looking for something positive in the future. I've had clients calling and saying, you know that sports composite that I didn't buy? I want to buy that for my kid. And I've gotten checks in the mail. And they're doing that because they want to do something extra for their kids. They can't control this, as I would love to. As a control freak, I would love to fix this. I would love to personally make it all better. And so some of my action comes from that awareness that I can't fix it, but I can certainly try and bring some happiness and joy. And so a couple of weeks ago, we created We Celebrate You videos, acknowledging each of the unique personalities and attributes of each of our seniors. And so the parents have loved seeing that for each of our high schools. We recently asked for baby images. And so we're doing a baby image with a current senior. And I'm gonna be honest, I personally wasn't prepared for my emotional response to it because I have little ones, and seeing them as toddlers and then now seeing them as these grown kind of adults, you know, their brain's still not fully developed completely, but they're on their way. So, you know, so part of it is trying to control the things that I can actually control, which I recognize is very little. So my reactions are the things that I'm trying to help with. So each day I'm trying to put out something kind of fun that's happening in our community. I am celebrating our 2020 seniors that deserve to be celebrated. Mm-hmm. I'm continuing to listen to our parents. And before we got closed, we're not technically closed down because we're still allowed to come to work, but I mean, our state's kind of, as we're in Virginia, so y'all have probably seen our governor shut it down till the 10th of June.
June, yeah.
Yeah, which we're all having trouble dealing with, and the people that I've talked with in our community, I think people can adjust to incremental changes, but 2.5 months of just like cutting off and not saying, we're gonna wait until the end of April and then we'll decide. Instead,
and that's what ours did.
Right. And same thing with school, just cut off, just like that, you know, in the middle of March. I'm like, friend, that's 3 months. What are you doing? No. So, you know, I've kind of alongside of all of my parents' process, and, you know, different places in different states. You were mentioning earlier, David, about yearbooks. And one of the first things I did was reach out to some of my yearbook advisors that I'm close to. And I said, no strings attached, totally giving of my time. Is there anything that I can do? Like, can I go and photograph something for you? What can I do to help finish your yearbooks for you? And
wonderful.
Right.
And they literally were like question marks. So we don't know how we're going to do it. One of my yearbook advisors said, well, I was just going to go out and take a picture of the empty field and put that on the page. And I was like, no, like that can be a little sidebar. Okay, but please don't just put an empty field. Like, figure out a way that you can celebrate these seniors, even if it's through selfies. So helping our community process, I think, is also where we can help. So going back to our clients saying, like, coming in, wanting to do graduation announcements, calling us, wanting to buy extra things, I stepped back and I said, you know what? Maybe there are some people out there that want to still celebrate their 2020 senior in another way. And then as a team, me and Robin and Karen, we sat down and we said, okay, so how could we approach this in a really sensitive way? Because we, you know, this is this balance of how do we act, not in an icky way, not in a way of like, I'm trying to make money. But let's be honest, we are still businesses. And each spring, we always reach back out to our 2020 seniors. We should still be doing that because there are still people out there that have a desire to do, whether it's graduation announcements or whether it's parties that they're going to have. There still is an opportunity there. Totally agree, Melanie. definitely not a huge moneymaker, but it's an advertisement. And so our mind shift has always been that it's a great advertisement for the upcoming classes. So we have an email campaign that's going out that's highlighting some things that they didn't have an opportunity to buy. We have 3 new art pieces this year that we are featuring through H&H Color Lab, and they didn't have that opportunity to buy them because it wasn't a product in our product line. So they may have that extra image that they wanted something to do with it, but we didn't have a product that aligned with that particular imagery. So we're showing them, we've got these 3 new beautiful art pieces. If you're interested in doing something special for your senior, here's an opportunity. And obviously there are things like digital upgrades that we didn't have that same option last year that we're going to be talking to them about. And then yes, other little specialty items that we'll put in there as well. And then there'll be a reminder as well via email to ask them for those baby images. So again, supporting them, figuring out how we can celebrate them. Some parents really are yearning to do something special to bring their kids back up, In terms of that's my pragmatic business side. I still do want to be making money and serving my community. Then there's the feel good side. So the social media that I was talking about, the babies, we also have received almost 200 handmade Be Kind signs. And these are all over the world, actually, is what they say. And so a local woman started this, and there were little stories on the back of it. And people were hanging these in their windows, as they have been for years. But a lot of people didn't know how to get their hands on them. And so we've been a source for people to come in and pick one up. So you are still allowed to do that as long as it's 10 and under. And just seeing a Be Kind sign in a window is a great reminder for us all in terms of where we should be. And so these have been really fun. I have been sharing good things that are going on in our community and just sharing other people's commentary. And then obviously the funnies, which are so great. Gosh, what's the guy from The Office? What's his name?
John Krasinski.
Yes, he's so into this, like what's good in the world, and it's this very him stuck at home doing this great commentary of beautiful things that are going on in our community. And so I've been sharing those. So just really trying to keep that positive voice on our social media, but that's not something new for us. So like part of this for us is really still staying true to our brand, and that's something that we've always done. So we don't want to throw a total curveball. We want to still stay really true to our voice. And I think that that's helpful, that it's not weird for our clients to see us doing these kinds of things. This has kind of always been part of us. So that's what we are doing, both the pragmatic kind of business side and the feel-good side. And then kind of moving forward, we are organizing, we update our website every month. We feel very fortunate that we've actually already had our models, and we already had all of our shoots that we're gonna have with them, our 2021 models. And so we kind of had reassessed everything, kind of done everything like that. There's always work to be done. And so we are communicating with our 2021 future clients through our models. So that's been really helpful. We've wanted to update our headshot campaign for a while, our branding aspect of our business. So that's something we're working on. And then we've also sat down and looked at how we can reduce our costs, right? Because I currently feel like I've got about a month of work that me and my team can do, working 40 hours a week. We literally have that much we could do in it used to be our January list of when we could get to it. And now it's our Corona list. So fun. Anyway, and so we have a ton that can really be done. So digging in, really looking at how can we serve our clients better, how can it be a better experience, and really making that list and figuring out how each day we can kind of check some of those things off.
Amazing.
Wow.
Sorry.
Jessica.
Well, I love
Spitfire.
there's a theme happening here. Yeah. And I think it's a theme that I've seen a lot with photographers who are truly successful and people that I admire and look up to, which is being authentic, listening to your clients, focusing on supporting and giving back to them right now, knowing that that will come back to you. We've seen over and over again our clients wanting to support us, asking what they can do to support our business during this time. And I think when you have that kind of relationship with people, you're going to come out far better in the end. It's just, how do we manage right now while things are a little bit challenging?
Right. Right. And I keep on hearing Kaya Bondurant's her commentary about leaning in, right? And however you want to say it, either leaning into the pain and leaning into the hardship that's right now. If you want to say, have your cry, because I think we all have. And I used to use This Is Us so that I could cry, and now that's over, so I need to find a new one. But really, put the big girl panties on, and I keep on seeing myself in this place of, what's the Snoopy character where he holds the football and then he run, and you're like, you've got a plan and you know what you're gonna do, and you go to kick and then the ball gets jerked out. Every time I make a plan, I'm like, I can do this till the end of April. I got this, right? And then I'm like, June 10th? June? Oh, I can do this. I'm leaning in, Kaya. I'm trying, but it's not easy, it's not. And being a photographer has never been easy. It's a hard job. It's hard work. And, sitting in that for a little while and having your little pity party and then getting up, and getting out of your PJs, as I just recently did.
I showered today because of this. So yeah.
We smell you. That's great.
Yeah.
I appreciate that a lot. That's good. And just to touch on what you had shared and what Melanie had touched on as well, as you were talking, I got to thinking that, at least in the American culture, there are very few milestone celebrations. When you turn 16, you get your license. When you turn 18, typically you graduate. That's about it. Mm-hmm. There really aren't, in our culture, those celebratory moments. And when one of those is taken away, like graduation, there's a big, big void there. And that needs to be honored. That needs to be recognized, like you were talking about. But also, nature abhors a vacuum. Something needs to take that place as a way to honor, as a way to fill a void. So what can we do is kind of the big overall question to fill that void, partly because of our relationships and because of our heart, but also because we're running a business and we need to use moments like this strategically, walk that fine line so it doesn't, like Jessica, you mentioned, doesn't feel icky. Mm-hmm. But if we don't do it, then something else will. So we need to be very proactive and very conscious in our approach in filling that void. So I appreciate what y'all have shared on this a lot. Brian, are you going to say something?
No. Jump in, Brian.
So Brian, being from Scotland, for anyone that's in the European Union or not anymore in the European Union, you may have heard the term model call in the past 30 minutes, and very generically, very basically and quickly, a model call is really those who are juniors in high school, 11th grade, who are about to become seniors. They are strategically chosen to be a part of your brand for the year. They're photographed maybe once or twice, perhaps even more through the year, as a way for them to be a brand ambassador for you. And so they become your voice in the school. They help get new clients for you. They do a lot of that work. Being on the team, and every model call, every team is set up differently. Mm-hmm. They get certain benefits, certain perks that no one else gets. So basically, when you hear the term model call, model team, ambassador, that's basically what it is.
Mm-hmm. I would say, so those of you who have groups, Facebook groups, I know, so Jessica, you said you do, Gary, you do, Melanie, you do, Christy, do you have some sort of, okay. So I would recommend.
I didn't, in the beginning, I've only been in business for about 7 years and I have a studio for about 4. So I'm fairly new. Compared to everyone else who's very seasoned here, and I feel a little intimidated, but
please.
Well, I would just say though, for anybody who may be in the UK or other parts of the world that are interested in learning more about it, go and follow these folks in their groups, because I'm sure they have different methods, and but all are very successful.
Definitely. Okay, I'll jump in here now while you're mentioning the UK. I'm coming at this from a very different angle. Seniors portraiture, or senior sessions, as you guys in the States understand them, is almost non-existent here in the UK. We are probably looking at, I'm looking at school proms. School prom sessions in Scotland, or school proms in Scotland, happen end of May, first 3 weeks in June. It was interesting hearing somebody saying that they were looking to do about 200 portraits or 200 senior sessions. Last year, my prom season, I think it took over 4,000 shots, 4,000 portraits. But that is your session is maybe 150 people at a time. Okay, it's have them lined up, and it's almost conveyor belt style. You photograph them, you do a few poses. This sounds arrogant, but I think last year my shoot rate was approximately 5 sellable portraits in around 11 seconds. It is volume. Now, those are not, as I discussed with the group beforehand, splash the flash, grab the cash. It's actually doing a decent, proper, fashionable portrait session, but in about 10 to 15 seconds. Very, 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 very different manner. Now, school proms at the moment, UK is pretty much on lockdown. Government's not using the term lockdown really, but we are, and the majority of school proms are going to be probably rescheduled rather than lost. So I don't see it as lost business. It's business that will come. Okay. However, at the moment in the UK, I would also say that we're in a little bit of a climate of fear. We've been going through the adaptation of having freedom of movement and all the rest of it, which was then restricted to, below 100 people, then below 50 people, and then you can't meet more than groups of 2 at the moment. So so we're pretty much tightened down now. My clients are all really, really upset because prom, it's been an American phenomenon, but it's massive business and it's massive culture here with high school students. They have been looking forward to this for probably about 2 or 3 years now, as they've approached this time in their lives. And all the dresses have been bought, the suits have been bought. In Scotland, the kilts have been bought. I did mention the kilts, guys. So they've had all this excitement. And now, where does it go from here? I would say I've been looking at some of the chat here, and there's been 1 or 2 from the UK have said, what's happening with senior sessions in the UK? Well, to be honest, nothing, because they don't really exist as a phenomenon here. I think that this COVID-19 situation gives us in the UK a real opportunity to develop that.
Yep.
As I've said in another webinar, when restrictions are lifted, they're not going to say, okay, it's Wednesday, right? Restrictions are lifted. Everything's not going to be back to normal tomorrow. It's not. There's going to be a staged release of restrictions. So therefore, you can have gatherings of less than 100 people. You can have gatherings of less than 50, etc. That leads you into, well, we can start perhaps doing small prom shoots. If the proms aren't actually coming back this year, we can still take advantage of it by marketing and saying, we are among the first in the UK to offer this type of type of service, and that's why I'm really keen on learning from the strategies that my friends in the States here are developing. What do you do in the meantime? Okay, well, in the meantime, Brian has been trying out to learn motion graphics. Okay. As you can see, but that's also leading me into an area which I've not really experimented much with is video work as well. Okay. Find out where your clients and your potential clients are. Are they on Facebook? Apparently with young people, no, they're not. Okay. Are they on Snapchat, Instagram, TikTok. You guys have TikTok? Yeah, okay. Find out where they are watching and what they're watching, and get into those platforms there. Build your marketing campaign. So I'm at the stage of preparing marketing campaigns to go onto the social media. Instagram stories are massive. I'm really late to Instagram stories, but my Instagram stories are getting so many more hits than a still image. So as photographers, try and develop your skills in the fields that you're not already fluent in. I think really marketing to new customers is a thing. I believe, and I really strongly hope, because I also do weddings as well, and I'm seeing a lot of that being postponed. My own daughter's due to get married in August, so so we're watching very carefully what's happening, as everybody is. There's the phrase of gift of time was coined by it was Damien McGillicuddy, a fellow photographer from the UK here. But another webinar I was on, it was called Downtime is Found Time. You've now got time to plan, to market, to develop your new skills. Gary was saying that, you know, he used to outsource or have somebody dedicated to doing his retouch work. Well, learn some good skills there yourself. So, you know, if I get a chance to chat a little bit later, there's some ideas that I've got for taking this forward. But I may not, so I've just noticed the time, so I'm going to keep going. So what do we do? That's what we're doing, looking at for when we come out of this. Okay, what we do now when we come out of this. Do we have an income stream? Pretty much with events and this type of work that I do, where there are a lot of people gathering together, they've all been shut down. So we can't go out there legally. There's a ban on large gatherings. Have we got a back catalogue of images that we have that at the time we perhaps only sold prints or high-res downloads of? Has that catalogue of images stopped bringing you in money? Look back 1 or 2, 3, 4, 5 years and say, well, you know, they spent some money on that, but they didn't get this image, they didn't get that image, they didn't get the next image. Can I offer them a digital delivery package? Either full resolution, social media, of course, with your branding on it. You can even supply them an app which has got a gallery on it for them, and the apps tend to be very, very linkable. Is that a right word? Yeah. To your social media, to your websites, etc. There's the other thing of the prom kids that you photographed, or the senior kids that you photographed 5-6 years ago. Are they going to get married now? Are they looking towards getting married? There's another massive market. I've already had. How did you get in touch with me for my wedding? Oh, you shot my prom 5, 6, whatever years ago. So don't limit yourself to just the seniors thing. If you do other things within your business, look at where it could go. Look at all the avenues that you could go. Okay, I'm shutting up now.
Diversification is key. It's really important.
Absolutely.
No, I love that perspective, Brian, especially from Europe. And every time I hear someone from Europe, or even here in the States, who are located, especially in the great Northeast, you know, Boston on up, where high school seniors is still a relatively new or very minor thing, I think what a great opportunity, what great potential there is to create something that people say, I want that.
I didn't even know I wanted it.
It literally is in the UK an untapped market. I've kind of tried to venture into it a little bit with some senior sessions, but it's a market which has huge potential in the UK, and it may, you know, with proms being backed off of at the moment, it may present us with an opportunity, and it's one that I'm definitely going to explore.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah. And we've talked before about, I think David mentioned just that there are these very few seasons of life that we celebrate. And that's something we've talked about with our business is creating those. I mean, you're creating the senior market in Europe, but we've talked about, okay, there's a huge gap for a tween market. We need to tell people this is a great time to photograph your child. I tell people, hey, when your child is missing their 2 front teeth, that's an opportunity for a portrait. We need to define that for people so they know, oh, it's time.
Yeah.
Okay, so I know we're getting
still.
close on time, so I want to give Christy a good chance to talk because I know
Yeah.
she's got all kinds of ideas.
Yeah.
A lot of what everyone has said, I'm definitely doing. So I'll try not to cross over on anything. The connection piece is huge, and that's something that I'm always doing. I do have ambassadors, and they're a huge, huge part of my business. And I started a teen ambassador program this year. Which that's been interesting because this all started right when that was kind of launching. So that's been a little tricky, but it has also, one of those things allowed me to kind of figure out how I can give them an experience when it's not in person. So that's kind of been a challenge for me, and we're working through that, and it's, I think it's going to work out, but that's still in the works. But anyway, so we're staying connected. With my 2020 seniors, like Jessica said, they're out of school and they're heartbroken and they're really sad. And I've been connecting with them. I mentioned in another webinar through FaceTime, and just kind of keeping in touch with my ambassadors and keeping their spirits up. I definitely always want to be someone in their feed or in their stories or in their life that has a positive voice for them. And that's just a goal that I have throughout the year. And so one of the things that I'm doing, which is kind of twofold, to be that positive voice, to let them know that I'm there for them, that I'm thinking of them, that being compassionate to their situation, and also to support our community. I've partnered with 3 other local businesses. They are usually business partners with me anyway. We usually work together to bring events to my ambassadors, and we have a fashion show. And we're partnering to gift my 2020 ambassadors a special gift that's going to be delivered to them. It's kind of a big surprise, so I'm not going to go into the big detail. It'll be releasing over the next couple of weeks, and I will be glad to come back and share kind of how that plays out. Yeah. I'm really excited about it. Almost more so because we're really going to be featuring these businesses as well. So not only are we giving a gift to our seniors, one that it's a project, so gives them something to do. And we talked about them kind of not knowing what to do with themselves. So part of it is a project. Part of it is just really positive, letting them know that we're proud of them, that we're excited for what their future holds. And there is future, there is still memories to be made, and that everything isn't over. It might be delayed, but there's still lots of fun and amazing things to come. And we want them to know that. So this project is kind of knocking off those 2 things: compassion, empathy, support, and connection, and also supporting the local community.
Yeah.
I'm so curious now.
I didn't mean to make it like a secret like that. I have all the parts together. So I will come back and share, I promise.
Please do. Okay.
But one of the things I wanted to point out in that is that I could not have done it by myself. There is a little bit of financial piece to that, and I would not have been able to do that. And it wouldn't have been really smart for me to do it in this situation. We're talking about, being smart financially. And so being able to partner with those businesses, spreading that need for where there is funds that are needed across multiple businesses, puts all of us in a better place. So we can all support each other. We don't have to invest as much money into it, but we're reaching the audience that we want to reach. We're supporting them. And so there's just a lot of kind of intertwined goals within the project that meet all of the different goals for the different businesses at the same time. And so that's kind of something that I'm really excited to be working on.
I had heard you say something in another group. No,
sorry.
I just loved, because it was because you were so connected with the seniors, that you had actually connected your senior group with like a group of parents or something that was looking for babysitters.
Yeah. So, and that worked for the beginning, and then once we went on to stricter guidelines, you know, unfortunately, most of the parents, thankfully, were keeping their teens home. But for the beginning, it did connect people, and that was shared a lot of times, and it surprised me it was shared by people that I don't even know. But that just, we have such the ability to connect audiences from all around, just because it's like the 6 degrees of separation. You know, a senior that I know who has a friend, who has a parent, they all are connected. So we really have the opportunity to connect people in ways that sometimes we don't even realize. And so that was kind of the situation on that. I posted that my ambassador program is, they sign up as juniors, but we work together all through the end of their senior year. So it's a community service-based program. So we do things through like about a year and a half, all the way till about May of their senior year. So I get to know them really, really well. So I can recommend them with good faith and know which ones are going to be responsible. And so I have that group that I can kind of pull from. And then I also, there was something with this project, Ronan, if anyone was at Sync, I know some of you guys were, he mentioned, do for one what you could want to do for many. And that's kind of where I go with my ambassadors. I wish I could do this gift for all of my seniors. And I'm still a smaller boutique. I photograph like around 60 to 75 seniors a year. And my ambassadors, I have 37. So I can do this project with these businesses for my ambassadors because it's a little bit of a smaller group. Even though I wish I could do it for everyone, but at least I'm making an impact in that small group. And then, I think so.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. No, I was just going to say, if I have just a second for what I'm doing for my 2021s, and this isn't super new or unique, but it's been really fun, is I'm doing the Instagram takeovers, Insta story takeovers. And I know there's other photographers out there doing amazing things with it. And I was inspired by some of them, like Isaac Coffey is doing an awesome job, and Nikki Hufford is doing an awesome job. And so I work again with my class of 2021 ambassadors and signed them up over the next couple of weeks. Takes a little pressure off me to do that connection because they're doing it. It reaches their audience that maybe I haven't reached yet, and they're bringing them over to my account. So that's how I'm connecting with my 2021. So that's been fun.
Great. Are you doing anything special during the time of quarantine with that, or is it just kind of business as usual?
With the takeovers. Mm-hmm. So I've created graphics that have their image, because we had small photo shoots, and I could go into that, but I won't because we don't have time. But so I'm using those images, and I created graphics that say a day in the life, a day in the quarantine life of.
Love it.
And then tag them, and we do a countdown. So the night before, there's the countdown on the Insta stories that kind of counts down and then celebrates when it starts. And then they take over the next day. And I'd be glad to share. I know we don't have a lot of time. I can share how I'm doing that with anyone who's interested. I'm not giving them access to my Instagram account. It's not something for me. So I'm kind of communicating with them differently. So I can share how I work through all that, how I scheduled, and what I'm doing. If anyone's interested, feel free to reach out.
Okay, awesome. So either contact you, or we'll check with Ronan and see if that's something that we could actually post in the Think Tank group.
Sure.
There's Ronan.
I'm back.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ronan, for organizing all of this and for all that you're giving to this community. You're inspiring all of us to do good and to give and to stay connected. So thank you.
Ronan, can I ask, are there any Q&As that we need to quickly perhaps answer on?
There's not a lot of questions that you haven't already answered, but I will do a quick summary at the end. But I just wanted to thank you guys. I'm just a torch. You're the lighthouses of inspiration. So I really thank you so much for all you're doing to help people through this time. But if I can summarize what I've heard today. So what I've heard is, Melanie said, make sure you serve your community. So your community are hurting right now. Reach out to them. If there's not a Facebook group for parents and seniors in your area, set one up. Be the leader in your community. The second thing I heard was, we've the gift of time, as David McCullough said. So use it to improve your skills. So Gary had said that he's used it to learn something that one of his employees, a job that they used to do, and he's finding ways to improve that. Because when you're doing a job yourself, you don't see ways to make it better. But if you do that job, you'll find ways to improve it going forward. Brian said he's used that skill to develop a new skill in video, and look at his wonderful background. He had one the other night where he was on the Starship Enterprise, I think it was. He might show it to us there while I keep talking. Jessica talked about allow your clients to celebrate their year, so find ways. So she has developed out a program where she's asked for pictures of her seniors when they were babies as well, and she's putting that out on social media and allowing them to celebrate their year. She also said, make sure you stay true to your brand. So whatever you're going to do, make sure that the stuff that you share on social media, make sure it's still true to your brand. Because Jessica's brand is very much about fun and laughter and the tricycle trio, as I call them, which is herself and our 2 staff members. So she can share fun stuff. And the 2 things I think you need to think about, and everybody has touched on this tonight, is there's a vacuum has created in your clients. So ask yourself, how can I fill this vacuum today? And how can I fill this vacuum when we come out of this? Because we will come out of it. And the second thing that I want you to think about is when you're working on your marketing plans, and people said there's a great time to work on next year's marketing plans as well. Think about, for me, I think what's happening now is going to give people a greater appreciation of the importance of capturing their family memories and their senior photography memories and their newborn photography memories. So how can you use this to show the value of what we do as an industry? Because I think if you can build that into your messaging when we come out of this, that it's going to bring more people to be able to celebrate the fact of the important job that you guys do for them. And that's my summary. Good night, guys. Tomorrow we have the sales and marketing team coming forward. We're trying to bring you something every single day from Monday through to Friday. And next week, hopefully we'll have some more as well. But thank you so much for joining us. Thank you to this team for sharing their knowledge, their inspiration. And after every one of these, I'm going, yay, we're in a wonderful industry. So guys, don't get downbeat. Use the time, because you are, what you do for society is absolutely amazing. Thank you. And goodbye.
Thank
and
you.
Good night.
Thanks, Brian.
Good afternoon.
Appreciate you all. Thank you. Bye, everyone. Bye-bye.